Hello and welcome to the Cricket's Insiders podcast with InsideSports. Now, we had promised to get you newer guests and more effervescent guests. Well, we are going to deliver on that promise today because today we've gotten with us a pacer with a dangerous outswinger. Not just that, he's one of the good guys in cricket. And post-retirement, he's kind of put the fun in broadcast. Well, it would be blasphemy to say that fun isn't synonymous with Danny Morrison. Hello, how are you?
All right, I'm very well. Good to see you, and exciting. Yeah, definitely. This new landscape of T20 and white ball cricket.
Yeah, I will come to that. But you know what? Since I've known about you, since I've seen you on IPL, I've had a lot of questions. And most of those questions have to do with, picking up your co-anchors, picking up cheerleaders, and sleeping along the pitches. Now, is that all your idea, or do the producers make you do all of that?
A bit of both, really. Yeah, producers get very excited, and I think with IPL and this revolution of T20, cheerleaders, music, DJs, all of that sort of stuff, and now we've sort of labelled it cricket-tainment as part of it all. And look, I've embraced it. It's a lot of naturally and I also think the love of the game is important, and so that's helped. And I think just being a bit out there and a little bit wild suits me anyway.
You spoke about how T20 is a new form of cricket. Well, let me tell you, where are you right now?
I'm in the West Indies. I'm in Guyana for the Caribbean Premier League, so the West Indies version of the IPL.
Yeah, and I love the Caribbean. You would know why, because India just won their T20 World Cup right there.
Right.
It. I mean, what a team, what an effort.
Yeah, they were very consistent. And when you throw all those guys together, interesting that Virat Kohli struggled through the tournament, but he got a measured and well-paced 70-odd, didn't he? And then you think the guys that win you tournaments at the end of the day are your bowlers and your standout bowlers. And of course, Jasprit Bumrah is outstanding. And then, certain bits of Jadeja and your spinners that come into it. And then the balance of the side that you want. And the other protagonists, and whether it's Siraj, I know Mohammad Shami wasn't there when he was injured, but you've got a good production line of quick bowlers for some time now.
So, you spoke about Bumrah, and he was also in your top 5 cricketers. I think you chose a team of 5 recently on Instagram, and you picked him as
right.
Yeah, so what do you think about Bumrah as a 3-format player?
I really just think is unique. If you like, outside of the textbook coaching manual, his is very different. Like, he's quite a stuttered run-up, and then his delivery and his whole presentation at the bowling crease is very different, and it's quite individual. And that's why I love cricket as well, Arahi, is that I think in the subcontinent where some of the coaching resources just aren't there, and a lot of guys get brought up on tape ball type cricket, and all of a sudden, and they can get unearthed or talent scouted by pure chance in a way sometimes, because there's just so many people in the subcontinent, as we know, and they're cricket passionate. So that's the excitement, I think, with Bumrah and the way he's developed very quickly through the IPL, and then, as you say, all formats, and doing it in Test match cricket, which is truly extraordinary and fascinating, because it's about also looking after your body in this day and age, because there's so much T20 now. There's a bit of T10 creeping in, not to mention your 50-over World Cups, tournaments, bilateral series. So for Bumrah, that's the juggling act, how demanding that is on your body and his bowling action.
So, Bumrah is a pacer. He's a fast bowler. We have Shami, we have Siraj. But the kind of fast bowlers and their sledging that was talked about much during your era, do you think that's gone down a little? They've become softer in nature.
I think there's still of course, there's always going to be males and their testosterone, and you're young, right? You tend to be
Yeah.
20 to 35 when bristling menace. Yeah, I definitely think, and mainly because of franchise cricket. I think now because international players are sharing dressing rooms all together and intermixing,
Hmm.
very much so. So in terms of the international game as such, it has, if you like, I don't know, a bit of a term, a little bit diluted of that aggression that you're talking about, because we never had that. Just the franchise. When you think about, let's talk about 20th century, right? And leading just after it, the likes of Glenn McGrath and those guys, and Brett Lee and those guys, and then even before that, Shoaib Akhtar and the two W's having a crack and being quite vocal at times, or and then you go right back into those Aussies where they, we used to call them a pack of hyenas, and they really were at you. And the great Lillian Thompson era in the 70s has definitely subsided. There's always going to be a bit of aggression there and clash. I think internationally, it really has. It has been filtered down a little bit because of the franchise cricket.
Well, talking about sledging, do you and Michael Slater go along well now?
Yeah, no, Slats and I. Yeah, we had a bit of fun back in the day. I didn't get too overly aggressive. Mine was a bit cheeky at times, have a bit of a wink and smile, and it's coming,
Yeah.
and they just think they're nuts anyway. But yeah, mine was more of a cheeky sort of banter rather than hardcore sledging, or the Aussies. You left that to the Aussies. They really got stuck into it a lot, really.
Well, on the same lines, we are going to be playing a long red ball season with the Aussies soon. The Border-Gavaskar Trophy
Mm.
starts in a little more than a month. You have your second batter that you've chosen in your five-a-team side. That's Rishabh Pant. Let's talk about him a bit.
Yeah, look, Rishabh Pant is he's fascinating because you think about him making a comeback. He's been amazing, really. That was just life threatening, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And when I look at that, to come back from that dreadful car accident, he truly is another extraordinary talent. Another guy that is a bit different. Again, outside the box of stroke making. Left-handers. We always say there's a bit in commentary that some left-handers can find different angles on the ballpark when they're trying to score in those different zones, and so that makes them unique. And he's certainly one of those. And he's, as I like to say, he's a bit of a fire starter because he can bat high in the order, or he could bat a bit more in the middle as well. I think he's one of those multifaceted guys that could either open for you, bat sort of 4 or 5, or do you want him to finish, at the end of an innings too? He could be a useful finisher. Class act.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you spoke about the comeback that he's made, but, there's this one shoe that he's been wanting to fill, or rather people have been looking forward for him to fill that one shoe, and that's MS Dhoni's. Now, that is one comparison which is going to be inevitable in his entire career journey, because, MS Dhoni was the wicket keeper, and the next wicketkeeper we're looking at is this young Rishabh Pant, who's tutored by MS Dhoni in some way. Now, see, those are some expectations that may not ever be reached by Pant. But then, what do you expect out of him as a wicketkeeper?
I think he's always wanting to grow. I think you do, and keeping in different conditions.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty in terms of playing internationally and touring. Is important, I think, for Indian players, because the other side of the coin is they play the IPL, but they don't, and they're not allowed to play in other franchise leagues, say in Australia or in England or here in the Caribbean, where conditions do vary, and that in a way has been I suppose, put under the microscope from a lot of us in the commentary box, saying, does that hinder India in terms of when they go to England, perhaps, and that? But really, in a way, India plays so much international cricket, a bit like the Aussies and England, and a lot of Test cricket. So I think he'll always keep developing and working on his wicket keeping. Time will tell again, about his body and how much he can keep pushing himself, given he's had that massive setback with that it could have been life-threatening, couldn't it, that whole car accident? So it's lovely. Fingers crossed he goes well and can stay fit and healthy.
Yeah. So, along with Pant, Bumrah, Siraj, all the fast bowlers, we have a big tournament coming up, and there are going to be names who are going to have to step up. It takes me, when we talk about the Border-Gavaskar Trophy, it takes me all the way back to 2020, 21, that iconic season that we had where we won Down Under,
Mm.
and it was massive with no big names, everyone stepping up. Now, what do you make out of this big clash coming up?
Yeah, look, I think Australia. Well, look, you can't have that record forever, can you? What they call it, the Gabba. They
Yeah.
nickname it the Gabatoir, where everyone used to get sliced up at the Gabba. So, look, and it was great that sort of, if you like, that era had changed from the Aussies just always having to turn up and they'd always beat you there as an overseas side. Went right back to 1988 was the last time they lost there against the West Indies. So, a hell of a record. But as you rightly point out, a lot of guys got injured. The bowling attack changed dramatically. And then a certain Rishabh Pant, who we've just been chatting about, came to the fore in that game. And so when I look at that, different guys stood up. And it was an extraordinary series, given how India got crunched in the first one, didn't they? Absolutely blitzed. And so to come back from that and win at 2-1 was a very, very good effort. And so I look forward to this one now coming. The reply, if you like, the Aussies will be very hungry to do well, given what happened with that last series, losing 2-1. And they've got a particularly good side. We know that. They cover all those bases with everyone. Even like Alex Carey, his solid batting coming in where he does. He's improved just of late. So look, it will be. It's always a big clash, isn't it? India, Australia, whether it's in India or in Australia. Everyone goes on about the Ashes. Of course, we do England, Australia, the history there and everything. So again, it comes back to like the big three. And who's doing well at the time and who's playing well, and those sort of protagonists that will stand out. And then you always love those head-to-head clashes that will always be talked about and revved up, from broadcast. So I'm looking forward to it immensely.
Last time when we won that series, especially the Gaba test, there was this one big headline that was going on. It was called "Toota hai Gaba ka Ghamand." Have you heard of it?
No, tell me.
It's called "Toota hai Gaba ka Ghamand," which means the ego of Gaba is broken. So
yes, lovely.
I think it was used in commentary by Ravi Shah. No, Ravi Shastri was the coach.
He was coaching. Yeah, and that's the beauty. Like, it can't go on forever. And that was the lovely story. It was so many guys got injured in that bowling department. And should have Tucker standing up with a bit of bowling and some runs, important runs. It really was almost like a scripted movie, right?
Yeah.
And particularly for Indians who Bollywood love their film industry, it's huge. So it was brilliant, and you had Ravi Shastri, the iconic, whether been broadcasting and then stepped into that coaching role, and he and Kohli obviously got on very well, and it worked. Again, two important key factors: the coach and the captain, the communication, and all of that sort of thing. And the man management of Shastri is not to be underscored, really, because that was key as well. And so you had I think you had quite a harmonious group of guys in a tough environment, because Australia it's just the pitches, the crowd, and they're obviously a very, very good cricket nation.
As you spoke last time, it was Ravi Shastri. This time it's Gautam Gambhir at the helm of things. He's the new head coach for India. Now, people are calling this the GG era. Now, what are your expectations out of this GG era? Because Sri Lanka was the start, and I was there. Let me tell you, the team landed in Sri Lanka. It was the same day they had an intense practice, intense net session. Now, this is usually not the norm, but they've put forth what their goal is, what how they're going to approach this entire era. What do you think?
Mm. Well, in a way, that's not so hard either. Even we got off the plane and you have to train. Well, look, Sri Lanka's right next door, right? So you've got no excuse not to get in there. And Gambia's big on that. He's very organised, and in terms of strategy, got a good head on his shoulders. Clearly, very experienced. And as a player, he wanted to achieve a lot. And here's another chapter in the Gautam Gambhir novel, if you like. He's really keen to do well. It is a fascinating setup, given his clashes with Virat Kohli in recent times during the IPL, right? All that stuff that happened at Lucknow, and it was just fascinating. So you look at those guys, but then Rohit Sharma and these guys, those particularly, they're towards the end of their careers, right? They're in the twilight of them. Let's be honest. You can't play forever, and I just think Gambhir is probably the right guy, given that he's just been with the Kolkata Knight Riders setup. They've won it. The IPL, and Gambhir's around it more. He's not just more as a studio pundit. He wants to be immersed in the dressing room, around the scene, and given that Rahul Dravid's, he's had his time and he's happy to step back again. The other thing, Arahi, is that I think the powerful thing with India is that you looked at MS Dhoni and wondered, my God, he was captain of all three of those formats for that length of time. Same with coaching. I think it really grinds you, and it's so intense, that Indian job. So I think really you've only got a window possibly of, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years as a coach, and they like to have a fresh voice anyway, and then a change of that ideals and stuff and what comes to in the dressing room. I think that is just a given. It just freshens things up. It's like a new season, right? You're going from, winter into spring and then summer and what have you. So I think all of that's quite important, given the nature of how much cricket's played these days.
Yeah, and this time he also has the senior players with him, something that we missed last time. Virat and Rohit, these two names are going to be playing in the BGT as well. Now, see, when we talk about the longest format of the game, these two haven't quite put in the numbers required in the last couple of shows that they have been a part of. Now, this is one stadium, one platform that they actually have where they could showcase their OG or their the sides that we know them to show, those kind of innings we expect them to play.
Yeah, and let's be honest too, when you go to Australia, they tend to be very good batting conditions. The ball comes on and it's very true, and you can play shots. I mean, Virat's done very well, some time ago with white ball. The hundreds he's got there, particularly chasing down a total. So he knows the environment. He knows those grounds. He's done well at them. He likes them. And you mentioned there, Rohit. Again, you'd love to see him get going in a series like that and score heavily to make it difficult for the Aussies. When you look at that lineup, particularly where you've got Hazelwood and Stark, that left-hand, right-hand, everyone loves a left-hand, right-hand pace duo to do that job and what have you. And Nathan Lyon, you talk about that bowling attack, very useful. And let's see, that extra bounce has always been talked about for time eternity since, you tour Australia. That's the undoing of a lot of players, that extra bounce. I've just mentioned those guys are very tall, they get bounce, and they're in their own backyard where they like it. But having said all that, Arahi, if they're slightly off and the Indian top order batting is clicking and doing well, can it easily be put to the sword as well? That's the fascination. If those things about Test cricket, Ari, the sun might be out and it's hot, the pitch is a bit flat, and the Aussies are struggling in the field, and the top order's going well and clicking. It can be a tough place because suddenly, the next day or when India go into field, it might be cloudy and overcast, and it's a bit easier, in terms of the conditions to field in. And those sort of things can go your way or not go your way on a tour. And it seems like, the Aussies at home, geez, look, everything's going their way. They get the best of the batting conditions, rah-de-rah-de-rah. And that's just the nature of touring there. And those little things, those variables that perhaps go your way, can make a big difference at times on a long tour.
I love how you said the Aussies are struggling on the field. I mean, spoke like a true black cap, but I hope that happens.
Yeah, you do, because they tend to have it most of their own way, don't they? In Australia,
Yeah.
you talked about the Gabatoir and that wonderful series of 2021. You have to go back to when the dear old English beat them in 2010-11, that Ashes series
Yeah.
away from there. And so you think about it, it's few and far between. The Kiwis tend to get run over there a little bit. Again, that bounce factor, and the Aussies playing at home. Most sides come unstuck there and just can't quite take the game deep enough in Australia to push the Aussies and put them under a lot more pressure more often.
Yeah, well, as we wrap up this topic, well, tell me your final predictions for the BGT. India, Australia, and what are the numbers?
Well, I think the Aussies, because it's at home, and like every side playing at home has that advantage. And I just think they probably have the slight inside running, no doubt. India, they're playing Bangladesh, they're playing New Zealand, but that's all in the subcontinent. Different kettle of fish we all can appreciate. You come down under and it's very different. So, I mean, the Aussies playing at home, of course, they're going to be slight inside running favourites. But look, it can be changed, because I think the key to it, as we all know, you're bowling. But then again, that was the opposite, wasn't it? They all got injured and these young guys came through,
Yeah.
right? So you like Bumrah and co to stay fit, right? And Ashwin or Ravi to bowl beautifully, get bounced like Nathan Lyon does and get that right. And then Jadeja to stay fit. If all of your best 11 can stay fit for most of that, like 4 out of the 5 tests, then I think India, they could surprise a lot of people.
So I have a few games for you. Are you excited?
No, far too early in
Come
the
on, you're
morning.
supposed to say, yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on, all right. Bring it on.
All right. So see, the first one is pretty easy. I'm going to give you options for 2 players and you have to pick one out of those, all right?
Okay.
And it goes on till we get to probably the last one and then you pick one of the 2. So there's only one winner of all the list.
Wow.
Yeah? Let's start?
Go. Let's roll.
Okay. So Yashasvi Jaiswal or Shubman Gill?
Oh, I'll go with Shubhas.
Okay. Shubman Gill or Sanju Samson?
Oh, Sanju Samson.
Sanju Samson or KL Rahul?
Sanju Samson.
Sanju Samson or Rishabh Pant?
Rishabh Pant.
Rishabh Pant or Shreyas Iyer?
Oh, I'll go with Rishi.
Okay, Rishabh Pant or Rituraj Gaikwad?
I'll still go with Rishi. We love a lefty.
Okay. Rishi or MS Dhoni?
Gee, if I don't go with MS Dhoni, they'll come hunting for me, eh? I'll go with MSD.
All right. MS Dhoni or Rohit Sharma? It's only going to get tougher from here, let me tell you that.
Yeah. I'll probably go with MSD.
Okay. MSD or Virat Kohli?
Oh, that's a no-brainer. That's got to be MSD.
All right, so that's your pick.
Well, the captaincy, everything around it, when you think about it, the captaincy, the inspiration, the finisher, keeping. His keeping got better with those fast hands. Hard to beat MSD.
Okay.
Truly.
So that was the first game. The second one is you have to give me one word for these legends. Okay? All right, let's start.
Rolling.
Gautam Gambhir.
Strong-willed. Can we use 2 words this one? No. Strong-willed.
Yeah. All right. MS Dhoni.
Calm.
Rohit Sharma.
Smooth.
Jasprit Bumrah.
Dynamic.
Last one, Virat Kohli.
Passionate.
Oh, yes.
I like that one.
Yeah.
What he does in the celebrations. Oh, yeah.
All right, the last game I want to know. So I'm going to give you a few categories, like, for example, fitness, pull shot, cover drive, and all of those. And you have to give me one of the two names, either Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma, who's better at it. All right.
Oh, that's
Okay.
harsh.
Let's start.
Yes, go. Rolling.
Timing.
Timing, Rohit Sharma.
Okay. Popularity.
MS Dhoni.
No, it's just between Rohit and Virat.
I know I'm being naughty, eh? uh,
Okay, all right,
going to
all
do
right.
those
Let's do this.
popularity.
Let's put
VK.
Virat,
VK.
Rohit, and MSD if you want. I don't mind.
No, that's good, bro. Because Rohit, they're playing still, right? So I get it. We'll
Okay, all
edit that out, obviously.
right.
So yeah, I'm happy to go with that. So I've gone with timing, um, with Rohit, and again, what was it? Popularity, probably. I mean, Vera tends to take it, doesn't he? Really?
Okay, so leadership.
I'd probably go with Rohit. Yeah, in recent times,
Okay, cover drive,
Vera.
pull shot.
Probably Vera just there too. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I do like his pull shot because he tends to keep it down. Then you could argue till the cows come home. Do you pull it in the air? I mean, Vera, row it over cover, that cover drive in the air for six is extraordinary. Whereas the classical timing of the execution of Virat Kohli with a cover drive, hard to beat.
Yeah.
Virat Kohli with fitness, without a doubt, one of the fittest ever.
Yeah. Footwork.
Yeah, tough. I'd go with Virat too, though.
All right. Decision making.
Decision making. Quite different, aren't they? One's a little bit more calculated. Kohli's more calculated with his decision making, and Rohit tends to be a bit more free spirited and you know on in the moment.
Yeah. Okay. And range of shots.
Range of strokes.
Yeah.
Virat's probably more your complete range player than Virat. But so Rohit, yeah, amazing. Virat with the range, but Rohit in terms of, are we talking T20? Are we talking any cricket, aren't we, really? Because, man, Rohit inside that first 6, 7, 8 overs, yeah, can
Yeah.
change the course of a game.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Fielding.
Definitely VK, yeah.
And last one, your favorite.
Right. Is
You tell me.
my favorite? My favorite out of those two, that's a tough one. That really is tough. They bring such different things to the game, don't they, to the table? I suppose the ease of Rohit, just the ease with the captaincy that sits better with him, and he's. I think that's transpired. I know you can hear about different sides, but geez, RCB have had a very good side over a long period of time, and they've won nothing. And then, you can be tongue in cheek and be a bit cheeky here and say, look, is that dressing room too intense because of Virat Kohli? I think that's harsh. I just think Rohit, with the environment and how he is, some of these guys are a bit more calmer and serene. Whereas Virat wears his heart on his sleeve and he's so passionate and so determined. Um, Sometimes when you're so overly driven, there is an argument about, psychologists will say that in some of their speech and they talk about it. It's just so encompassing. So it takes over you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was lovely having you. And the next time you come to India, I want to go around India with you because I think you've seen more of India than I have.
And food. Yeah, we'll get
Oh,
out and have some food. Yeah, good. Yeah, yeah.
and chai. That one's pending. All right.
And
Thank you so
chai.
much, Danny. See you
Cheers,
around.
Arahi.
Thank you.
Love. See you.
See you.